Okey-dokey. So I am the head of social media at Vodafone Australia, and we have a team there of about 5 social marketing. In that particular team, we have 30 in social care. So we have a huge team of people who are actually spanning not only advertising, PR, marketing, but also customer care. So for us, it's quite an incredible job managing the sheer volume of content that comes into our channels every day. So I'm going to talk you through how we approach social engagement at Vodafone Australia. Oh, it works. Brilliant. Always a bonus. So to understand where we arrived at today, I'm just going to talk you through a little bit of the history of Vodafone as a company. I'm sure many of you have heard of it, but just in case, here's a quick recap. Globally, we are a huge organisation. We are spanning about 60 countries. We've got 403 million customers worldwide. We're accountable for more than 1/3 of a billion customer connections worldwide, so a huge organisation. Locally in Australia, and I'll take you back a couple of years before Vodafone hit the airwaves, we were a much loved brand in Australia. We were rating higher than our competitors in terms of NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, and for those who don't know, that's a rating that companies are given based on market research as to how much people actually like the brand or the company. We had about 5,000 employees and more than 7 million customers. Then what happened? Basically, the perfect storm. The smartphone hit the market, people became very data hungry, our network started to creak, there was increased demand. We saw a merger of 3 brands underneath the one umbrella, and of course, the rise of competition and social media. By the time 2012 hit, we knew that we were in real trouble. We had a reduction in the workforce of about 40%. We had a reduction in revenue of 9%. We also saw our NPS plummet from +18 to down to -27. And by mid or end of 2012, that actually hit -45. So no surprise that it actually took everybody, it shocked us all, it shocked the company, and we learned a few key lessons out of this. First one was we had to focus outward and not inward. So rather than fixing what we thought was important, we needed to fix what our customers were telling us was important. So we were not focusing on the network when we should have been. Second thing was promising only what you can deliver. So turning your phone on and off is not always going to fix your network issues. So we had to be realistic about what we were actually able to control and not sort of just talk the talk, we had to walk the walk as well. And the third one, which is key to our social media team, is never underestimate the power of word of mouth. So from this disaster was born the social media team at Vodafone. And as a company, we need to now focus on our one main goal, and that is to restore brand trust. And social media plays a really key part in this recovery journey for Vodafone, and it does that in several ways. And I've listed the key ones for you up here on the slide, and that is repairing the brand one conversation at a time. And we do that by connecting with our customers on a personal level. And what this looks like specifically is being available, being relevant, being responsible, being reliable, and being authentic in everything we do online. So we actually view it as a bit of an ecosystem when it comes to social media engagement. So no part of social exists on its own. So let me talk you through the different aspects, and this is a really good little training tool that we use to talk our guys through it. So social engagement has to have a really strong foundation. What that looks like is, first of all, defining what your business goals are. What is it that we're actually here to achieve? Is social media even an appropriate channel for us to be communicating with our audience? Are they even there? Is it going to cause us more problems than it is good? What's the purpose of all these different channels? And how are we going to measure success in these different channels? Because each channel is going to be serving a different purpose for us. And very important is, what are your engagement guidelines? You need to keep control of your communities online, and you need to make sure that it's a safe place for everybody. The second thing we do is we listen to what our customers are saying to us online. Where are they talking? What are they talking about? What are they into outside of mobile technology? Is it music festivals? Is it online shopping? And how can Vodafone facilitate and enrich those experiences? I'm really loving this thing, by the way. Thirdly is plan. So make sure you have a content calendar in place. Make sure it's aligned to the PR activity, to the advertising campaigns and the other offline activity that's going on within your company and within the various different business units. Also ensure that you've got some remarkable experiences to reward your different communities with. Make it special, make them want to come back. Then we move on to engagement. It's really important for us at Vodafone that we have a one consistent singular brand voice. So we make sure that wherever we're engaging, whatever the query or the question is, whether it's a customer service question, whether it's a sales query, whether it's just feedback about our latest ad, love it or hate it, we make sure that we have a consistent brand voice. We make sure that the content that we're sharing is relevant to our customers, and we want to make sure that the experience is valuable and that it's memorable. Measurement. Measurement is really important. Make sure you're analysing your data. You're collaborating with other teams within the business who are also analysing data. Can you see trends, and how are you going to respond to those trends? And then from that comes optimisation. So not only do you recognise the trends, you're looking for things that might be unusual and investigate a little further, but then act on it. So make sure that you're actually learning from your mistakes, you're leveraging other opportunities, not only within different business units, but also within partnerships like Samsung or Nokia or Apple, for example. Empower your people. We have a workforce now of about 3,600 people across 140 locations around Australia. Everybody's on an internal social media network called Chatter, which allows us to talk with one another. We share information, we share ideas, we share feedback, we answer questions. We also have a social media policy for all our staff because we want our staff to be brand advocates for us, but we want them to do it in a way that's safe for them and safe for the brand. Our communities. Our Vodafone community is one of the stickiest and most active communities in our whole suite of social properties. Make sure that we give them things to talk about. Can we give them exclusive content? Can we give them an opportunity to co-create with us, to ideate with us about the new products that we're going to be delivering? And then, of course, our influencers. So bloggers are a big one for us, especially in the technology space. By doing all these things, you then start to see your engagement ecosystem bear fruit. You've got advocacy. So these are the people that you really want to empower. They're the ones that are doing the talking for you. We know that 90% of people trust peer-to-peer recommendations more than they trust advertising. I think the figure is about 14% trust advertising. So ideally, you want advocates. You want them to have the tools that they need to be able to sell your product for you, essentially. Because that's going to build the trust that you want. It's going to give you great insights into your brand and your products, and you're going to get essentially business results. So that's a really good overview of how we view the engagement ecosystem at Vodafone. So I'll run you through just quick 7 things that I have learned through my time at Vodafone. Firstly, know your channels, know your audience. Your channel is not going to be the same for everything, whether it be, it'll always have a consistent look and feel, but it'll have a different purpose, whether it be marketing and branding, whether it be sales, whether it be self-service, or whether it be customer care. Be prepared and be agile. Make sure that you've got your content calendar in place, but be prepared to shift. You know, respond to trends that are going on. A really good example for us was when we had an update planned for the morning that the Boston Marathon bombings happened. And we were promoting the GS4 and their training partner functionality. And, you know, it was something around the lines of, you know, you're training for a run or, you know, City to Surf or a marathon, then, you know, the GS4 is a great training partner. Now, had we not read the news that morning and read about this tragic event, we would have gone out with a completely insensitive update on our channels. So you really need to be aware of what's going on around you and be prepared to respond quickly to make sure that you don't do anything like that. Have a crisis plan in place for when stuff does go wrong. You know, speak to your corporate comms team and your legal team and be prepared and know the escalation pathways that you need to get in touch with if stuff does hit the airwaves, as happens a lot. Not all engagement is good engagement. This is especially true for us. You know, our goal is to restore brand trust. So for us, if we were just going to measure the number of comments that we get on a post, it isn't a good indication of whether or not we're actually achieving that goal of restoring brand trust. For us, it's more around those positive interactions. So a +1, a like, an accepted solution in our community, or a sale, for example. And love your data, folks. If you don't love your data, you better start, because this is really where it's all headed. You know, everybody throws around the terms big data, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, there is a lot of big data out there. It's how do you make sense of it? So you need to be really clear on what your objectives are, what's important to you, and how you're going to shift through the old expression, can't see the wood for the trees. Sort through the stuff that's not important to you and make sure that you understand what you're measuring and what it means. The insight is, what it means for you and the business. Access excites. We gave our Facebook fans an opportunity to have a one-on-one chat with the guy who was responsible for rolling out our 4G network. Now that was a pretty amazing opportunity for them, because Alan doesn't often have an opportunity to talk to our customers, and this was really something that our customers were valued highly, because the 4G network for us was an incredible turning point for us. Our 4G network is excellent, people had questions about it, and this was the opportunity to actually ask the guy who was responsible for it. Remarkable also excites. An opportunity to meet Joel Madden was another experience rewarding our communities for just being a Vodafone customer, and people loved the opportunity. And the unexpected. Now this was a situation where Samantha Wills, the jewellery designer in Sydney, had an experience with Vodafone that was not a particularly good one. The experience was turned around, and she posted on Instagram a thank you letter to the woman who was able to help her. Now we could have just left it at that, but what we did was we found the woman in the call centre and we took a photo with her and responded with another Instagram picture. Simple, took us 20 minutes to do, and it generated so much positive chatter around this particular post that we leveraged it. That's what I'm talking about when you're leveraging opportunities. What opportunities can you leverage to generate some positive brand equity? And in all those comments, I think there were probably two referring to, Vodafail or whatever people like to refer to. It's getting a little bit old now, just quietly, but that's what I'm saying. You don't want to be the killjoy that comes into a positive conversation with a negative comment. So ultimately, those sorts of situations are what we like to look at. You must give your communities a reason to engage. Don't just put up content hoping for a response. Ask them a question. Let them get involved in the conversation. Make it relevant to them and make it valuable. And lastly, facilitate, don't dominate the conversation. So for us, we have our community that I spoke about. It's an incredibly sticky environment for us. But what we do in this situation is we literally just facilitate. So we've actually built out a group of what we call super users, who are experts in Android, Apple, technology, whatever it might be, and we reward them for their involvement in the community. Other people reward them for their solutions that they offer people who come there for help. And we've actually empowered them to do our talking for us, which for them is fantastic. They get kudos. But for us, it's also, if you think about it from a business sense, it's a cost saving, because they're solving people's problems and we don't actually have to be part of that conversation. Okay, I'll quickly run you through an example of it in action. GS4 launch. What did we do? We had to generate positive word of mouth about the GS4 and generate some sales leads. So I went along to the event, I went along with the GS4 and I started capturing content in real time. I was tweeting, I was uploading to Facebook, and I was uploading to Instagram. I also uploaded to Dropbox, where we had my team of community managers waiting. So, oops, go back. So they were then sharing it on other channels that I wasn't able to reach via my phone, and they were managing the conversation in real time, responding to people's questions. We also had the guys in community pulling content from that Dropbox and uploading it there, where we had a dedicated thread for the GS4. And then we had a chatter group, because I am not particularly technical, and I'm the first one to admit it. So for any technical questions that we didn't know the answer to about the functionality of the phone, we had a chatter group where our device experts were waiting for us to ask technical questions so that we could answer people in real time. People started joining in the conversation and sharing content, retweeting our tweets and getting involved. We started to see these brand advocates emerge, and as you can see from these comments, these are really positive brand comments about Vodafone. We're leveraging the opportunity and the excitement around the GS4 to generate some positive brand equity. Hosted the conversation in the community. And what this shows you is that actually so pre-launch there was a bit of a spike in conversation, right? What we did, we actually took a chunk of the overall online conversation and were able to host it in our owned environment, in our community. And once that launch happened, So pre-launch, there's always a bit of excitement around, oh, when's it coming, what's it going to be like? Then it launches, and generally what will happen in most social channels is it'll launch and it'll just drop. So you'll see that a lot with Twitter, it spikes and then it dies away. But in our community, we actually retained a portion of the conversation that kept on going for weeks and weeks after the phone had launched. Key results, we generated almost 2,000 sales leads in the first 48 hours, which for us is excellent. Instagram grew by 33%, 3,500 likes, so positive metrics across our content, 850 comments and 189 shares. And that was compared to, and this isn't, competitors who had 359 and 351 respectively. That is likes. So that's how we approach it at Vodafone. We've got a long way to go, absolutely. But for us, where we really want to be, and this is what we're working towards, is talking to more people. The people that we're talking to are really engaged. We have committed brand advocates who are talking for us and sharing all our positive content in a transparent and authentic way. We want to see our social interactions both saving customers and growing our customer base. And we want seamless customer journeys across all our social properties. And that way, I think we can really achieve that goal of restoring brand trust at Vodafone. So that's it. Any questions?
In terms of, you've got the communications a degree in communications and in human resources. Now, obviously, a lot of us are studying at the moment. How have you used that degree, in your, in your work, your, stuff that you're doing now? How do you feel like, is it maybe connections you got at uni? Is it the physical stuff you learned, a bit of both?
Look, I think for me, it's very much applying the theory in practice, and it gave me the confidence to be able to apply what I've learned in a real life situation. The one thing that I would say that I regret not doing when I was at uni was really doing more practical experience in the workforce before I actually hit the workforce. I was a total nerd and studied very hard, and I definitely found that the having that behind me gave me the confidence I needed. But I think that I would have benefited from actually doing a lot more work experience at the time and just sort of, seeing the differences between theory versus reality.
Sure, so it's crucial to have that bit of experience in both.
Yeah, that's my personal,
sure.
Yeah.
Now I want to cut to the chase a bit here with some of the ideas and philosophies that you were talking about. Obviously, there's been a bit of heat around Vodafone in the recent past.
A bit of heat,
to put it lightly. I just wanted to get your opinion on, how you managed, crises, and how you really, there's been all types of different names thrown around Vodafone and stuff that I'm sure have been damaging to reputation and stuff. I wanted to get your opinion on how, you guys manage that and how you aim to sort of change that stigma, around it and push forward into the future.
Look, there's one thing I'll say about telcos as a industry, and it's a bit like travel. People. It's not actually about the phone or the technology. It's about what we're enabling. We're enabling you to get the call from the guy that you met on Friday night that you're waiting for, or whatever. Where the call about the job, or the photo from your friend overseas, or sharing your photos on Facebook. What an amazing life you have compared to everyone else. So we're enabling those things. So when those things go wrong, people get very upset. It's an emotional thing. And if you look at any of the telcos, there's Vodafone, but there's also Droptus, there's Helstra. They're all out there. So we're all in the same bag. I think for us, in terms of managing crisis, the thing that is really important is communicating with your customers what you know as in real time. So a good example would be the Queensland floods. People were cut off, they didn't have any access to their phone. They did, however, come to Facebook, and we gave them updates every hour with what was happening with the network in their area. We gave them postcodes as postcodes were restored. So even if they didn't have their network, they felt like they were informed and they felt like they were empowered. So for us, it's crucial to respond quickly and give them the real information, the true story.
Sure. I've got one more question. We might be able to grab a few from the audience as well just after this one. I wanted myself and Andre were chatting before you spoke, and we're both with Vodafone. I'm sure there are many students out there with Vodafone. It seems to me like that Vodafone, is appealing to the younger generation and stuff like that. Would you say that's a targeted audience? It's an audience that you're actually targeting, or is it just something that's happened with your sort of strategy and your brand that's of Vodafone?
Well, our brand historically has always been that fun, energetic brand, which I think appeals to young people. And Telstra's got a very corporate image in comparison with us, and I think it's certainly something that in the past we've targeted, and the evidence suggests today that sort of, even though we've been through an incredible trying testing period, that's certainly the area that that's our sweet spot. Sure. We like being there, and that's who we're sort of targeting. I mean, our latest campaign is about finding that inner child again. So that's really that fun-loving, energetic, happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, sure. Would love to have a bit more time to continue to ask a few more questions, Lucie. But if we don't put our hands together for Lucie Snape from Vodafone.